For countless millennia, the human species thought of the vault of heaven as simply beyond, a theatrical backdrop for the drama of life. Today, humans work there. Bright beads of light trace across the night sky. Flying machines, aircraft, robotic satellites, and spacecraft for people. These vessels sail along constrained orbital tracks, like rivers in the sky. The brightest satellite in your sky right now is Alpha, the International Space Station. As construction continues, it'll get brighter. Combining the talents of at least 15 nations, it's the largest human-crafted object ever placed in space. More than 40 flights of the space shuttle are needed to assemble the components into its final configuration. And many Russian Soyuz craft will ferry crews and supplies. When complete, Alpha will mass more than 450,000 kilograms and cover an area larger than a football field. Orbiting just 400 kilometers above Earth's surface, Alpha's ground track is inclined at an angle of 51.6 degrees to the equator. Zipping along at 27,370 kilometers per hour, Alpha cycles around Earth 18 times a day, crossing the Atlantic Ocean in just 15 minutes. Although it's the biggest, Alpha is but one of more than 2,000 low Earth orbit satellites, flying the envelope between 400 kilometers and 800 kilometers altitude, in the highest, thinnest layer of Earth's atmosphere. The Hubble Space Telescope is also a LEOsat, as are polar orbiting spy satellites, some Earth monitoring satellites, and the constellation of Global Positioning System satellites. Large communications satellites and some weather watchers live in this special orbit called geosynchronous or geostationary. It's sometimes called the Clarke orbit in respect of its discoverer, Arthur C. Clarke. This great circle lies 35,874 kilometers up, roughly 1/10 the distance to the Moon. Each satellite moves at precisely the same angular speed as the rotating Earth. They seem to stay over one spot on the ground. Climb aboard one of these satellites and the Earth appears to stand still, while the stars move around it. In position nearly over Earth's equator, and traveling just as fast as the planet spins, these servants keep themselves dependably pointed at humanity's antennas. Some Russian satellites use a special orbit called a Molnaya orbit. It's a highly eccentric ellipse, allowing the birds to spend most of their time in view of ground stations on territory of the former Soviet Union. There are also some unique orbits for certain science satellites. The Chandra X-ray Observatory, for instance, orbits out to 1/4 of the way to the Moon. And the Microwave Anisotropy Probe, a radio telescope charged with seeing the early light of the hot young universe, cycles around a point of stable gravitational resonance called Lagrange Libration Point number 2, L2 for short. Earth's biggest satellite is not an artifact of humanity. It's the Moon, lying now at a light distance of 1.2 seconds. The Moon was much closer in earlier times. Today, it orbits at an average distance of 384,600 kilometers. The first human cruise took about 68 hours to get there. Someday, the Moon may support the citizens of Earth, with astronomy bases, materials mining and processing plants, and even power utility companies. Finally, planetary space probes are satellites too, but they navigate the orbital rivers of bodies other than the Earth. A few have even touched the faces of other worlds.